Vibrato is one of the key techniques that we guitarists have in our toolbox to convey emotion when we play lead guitar and when we solo. What is vibrato? So vibrato is a musical effect consisting of a regular pulsating change of pitch. There are a few types of vibrato, but the vibrato we're going to look at in this lesson is more of a traditional style of vibrato common to use with the electric guitar. Okay, so let's discuss technique and hand position. We're going to start by doing a vibrato with the first finger, so we're going to play a note with the first finger and then add vibrato to that note. Now the way your hand moves is similar to when doing a string bend, so the motion comes from the arm and the wrist rotating and not from the finger pulling or pushing the string. So the first part of your first finger, this bit here, will rest underneath the guitar neck, touching the neck, and this is going to be the pivot point for the vibrato. When this is in place your first finger on the 5th fret of the G string and then place your thumb over the top of the guitar neck, and the vibrato will come from rotating the wrist downwards. So just like I said in the lesson about bending, the movement is like turning a doorknob or like turning the key in a door lock. So as your palm moves away from the guitar, the first finger should be the pivot against the neck, and this will pull the string downwards with the motion of the wrist rotating, like this. Now get used to this motion of pulling the string down. This is going to bring the note out of pitch, and then loosening the tension as you rotate the wrist back will make the note go back into pitch. So just get used to that motion. So in essence, we are actually bending the string, but unlike a string bend, where we're aiming to take the note to another pitch or to another note, we're aiming to bring the note out of tune slightly and then back into tune with a vibrato. Now also, it is common to think that we move the string above and then below the starting pitch when we vibrato, but this isn't the case. You see, the starting note is the fundamental. Now even though we are pulling this note out of tune and then bring it back into tune, it is the note the listener needs to hear, so always move away from this note and back to this note and not beyond it. To practice getting your vibrato's movement really smooth and sounding good, I want you to think of it as a timing exercise first. So if you're thinking in 4/4, so just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I want you to pick the string on beat 1, move out of tune for beat 2, then back up to pitch on 3, back down on 4, and then back to the start for number 1 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can do 8th notes if you want as well. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can do 16th notes, you can do triplet counts, you can do whatever you want really. The whole point of this is you're gaining control of the vibrato and you get the feel for how the movement should be. Now you're getting to grips with the movement and the technique, let's take a look at the elements of the vibrato. Vibrato is a very personal thing. Vibrato can vary drastically from player to player, but there are just two aspects of the vibrato that we need to learn about, and this is the speed of the vibrato and the size or the width of your vibrato. So the speed of your vibrato is quite an obvious thing, it's just how fast or slow you vib the note, so you could do it really fast, really slow, or anything in between. Having control of this speed will mean you have more control of how relaxed or how tense the vibrato sounds. The other aspect is how wide or narrow the vibrato is. So this means how far you pull or push the note out of tune. And again, this is something to practice as there's a wide range to experiment with. The more control you have of this, the more expression you can add to your vibrato. So you can have it really wide or really narrow. Play along with the backing track and experiment with the width of your vibrato and the speed of your vibrato. Just remember that you will always need your note to start and end on your fundamental note, and try and keep it even. When you develop these areas, you can start experimenting and try playing a note and gradually making your vibrato faster. So let's start with a nice slow and gradually faster, or start having a really wide vibrato and then gradually make it smaller. There's a really wide range here for you to have fun experimenting with, but just make sure that whatever you're trying, that you're trying to stay in control of your vibrato. We've looked at vibratoing with your first finger. Now, the first finger and the third finger are the most common fingers to use when we vib. So practice with these fingers first. The movement is the exact same no matter which finger you use. So your first finger acts as the pivot and the motion comes from rotating that wrist. This brings me on to my next point, which is the direction that you pull or push the string when you vib a note. Now, you can pull the string downwards, as we've discussed all the way through this lesson, or you can push the string upwards. The results are going to be the same whichever way you go. You just need to make sure that you're in control of the vib, which is what we've really been discussing throughout this lesson. Now, just like when bending, the direction of your vib can have a lot to do with the room you have on your fretboard before your fingers fall off the neck. So, for example, if you're on the high E string and you're bending, let's say this 8th fret, if I vib downwards and try to do a wide vib, I'm just going to bring the string off the guitar neck, and it sounds awful. I'm not going to be able to vib. So for that string, I have to vib upwards. What I want you to do now, and this is a lot of fun to do, is to watch and to listen to your favourite guitar players and pay real close attention to their vibratos. So is their vibrato really fast? Is it really slow? Is it really narrow? Is it really wide? So study these players and how they vibrato and spend some real time trying to replicate their vibratos. This is really good fun to do, and if you're new to vibrato, this will give you really good insight into how your favourite players achieve their sound and their tone. I'm going to play a short solo now. You can get the tabs and the backing track for this from the description box. You can learn the solo if you want to, you can experiment with the vibratos, or you can just jam over the backing track. A lot of people think that this is a technique that you just pick up over time. I was one of these people, but I found that this wasn't the case. I just realised that after a long time that my vibrato just really wasn't very good. It was only when I sat down and put some time into learning it properly did I make any real progress at it, and it really took my playing to a different level. Now, in the next lesson, I'm going to show you how to add vibrato to your string bending, and it is key for you to learn to bend properly and to vibrato properly first. So do spend some time on these techniques on their own, and then you'll be ready to move on to this next lesson. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel, get the backing track from the link below, and I will see you in the next one.